Hello educators, this is Troy, your instructional designer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the gradebook settings and the best practices to set up your gradebook in Blackboard. Coming up. Now before we start, I wanted to tell you guys about the other videos that I have on my channel. A lot of these videos are specific to our environment within Blackboard, and other videos are specific to Blackboard Ultra itself. Whether it's availability setting or gradebook items, I'm making sure that you guys have the most up-to-date information on this Blackboard Ultra environment, so definitely check those out. Now, getting into the gradebook settings, we're going to be taking a look at an example course that I have set up with assignments, discussions, journals, and tests, the 4 different types of gradable items within Blackboard. We're going to be taking a look at the individual assignment settings as far as the point-based value, whether we're displaying it as a point or percentage or a letter grade. And then we're going to take a look at the overall grade settings and how the gradebook is actually calculating these gradable items to get to that 100% of that total grade. Within my sandbox course, I have a module, and inside this module I have several items. They are the 4 types of the gradable items here in Blackboard Ultra. We have discussion, we have an assignment, we have a journal, and we have a test. And within these particular gradable items, we have our grade setup. So we have 100 points for this discussion. It is a points-based gradable item. We can move into our video assignment here. We can see that that's worth 50 points, but it also is points-based item. If we go to our journal, we can see that we have 100 points, but it is displayed in a percentage. So inside the actual setting itself, we can click on this link to get to there. We can see that we have selected grade being used is a percentage and our max points at 100 points. We can change these if we want to. We can change the category. We can change points, percentage, or letter. And we're going to give it a point value because it is a calculation of a 100% for a course. So we want to make sure that the system recognizes that, hey, this is worth 100 points, this is worth 100%, etc. So I'm going to go and put this at points because I'm going to be using points in this scenario. I'm going to hit save, and we can go back to our final gradable item, the test. We can see that it's points and it's worth 30 points. So it's actually worth less as far as points go than the other gradable items. So all of those settings are in the individual gradable item settings. I have multiple videos on gradable items and the assignment settings themselves. Now we're going to take a look at our gradebook to determine how is this actually being calculated to the 100%. So we're going to go up to the top and hit Gradebook tab, and we're going to find this gear icon over here on the top right hand side. This gets into our gradebook setup. We can see that we have a grading schema set. This is just telling the system how is our total grade being determined, what are our ranges for our grades. We can see that an F is from 0 to 60. Anything below 59.999 is going to be an F. Once a student achieves a 60, they will receive a D going into the 70, which is 69.999, and moving up. If we want to change this left column or this right column here, this number is actually affected by the grade above it, the left column. So if I wanted to change this to 69.5, and I want to have a C start out at 69.5, I can simply hit that and change. Yes. And now you can see it actually affected my D category. If I want to change that back, I can go back to that 70 and hit save and yes, and we can see that it changes that. Just know that that category is a window, a range for the grade, for the percentage. So if we are telling our students, we're telling our grade book that we want our students to view it as a letter grade, this is actually where the letter is being calculated. We can go in here and add, say we want an A minus category, and we want this to start at 90, and we want that to go to, say, like a 94. Then we can hit save and save. We can see that the A minus is from a 90 to a 94, or technically a 93.9999, and a 94 starts out as a solid A. So we can add this items, and I can have other videos in the future going over to the fine details of this. But just know that our letter grade item is being calculated by the schema, and we're setting the percentages of what these letters mean here in this grading schema. I can hit save, and it will take me back to this gradebook setup. The next item we're going to take a look at is the overall grade setting. We can go down to the overall grade, hit manage overall grade. If you haven't set this up yet, it will say set up the overall grade setting. So you can click that, and it's going to take you to a window that looks like this. Now, in the past, I've already set this gradebook up. I put assignments at 25%. I have my discussions at 25%. I have my journals at 25% and my tests at 25%, totaling a 100%. I went in and changed this percentage in this box. I can lock it. That means that it's not going to change after I've locked it on that particular percentage. I then also wanted to make sure that any category that I'm not using is exempt from this 100%. So I've clicked this and highlighted it purple. And so I've exempt those. You can see that it's worth 0% and is exempt. So right now I have 4 categories in use, each one of them at equal value. I wanted to take a second to talk about the differences between a grade earned in an assignment and how the grade is being calculated based on weights, points, percentage in the actual gradebook itself. A grade earned in an assignment has a direct relationship between the level of involvement a student is needing to participate in order to complete that assignment. If a discussion post takes a student 20 minutes to complete, it probably shouldn't be worth 150 points, and it shouldn't be so important to the class that if they don't do that assignment, then it's going to fail them. The points earned in the actual gradebook is the level of importance. So if we want to have discussions more important to the final grade, then we're going to put it in the weight category or the item category in the gradebook setup itself. So you can have a discussion post that takes 20 minutes. I would give the student 20 or 30 points for that. But collectively, all of the discussions are more important to the class. So we want to grade it higher or weight it higher in the actual gradebook setup itself. So we have points and points earned on the grading item itself over here, and we have the weight or the level of importance to the course over in the gradebook setup itself. When looking at my graded categories in my gradebook, I have assignments, discussions, journals, and tests, and all of them are equal parts at 25%. If I'm wanting to change this percentage, say I want the tests more important to this final 100 than the assignments, even if the assignments are worth more points, I'm still able to come in here and tell the system that I want this to be worth 40% and I want these others to be an equal part of the 20%. Now, the Blackboard Ultra Gradebook has it built into where it always wants to find 100% because we can only give 100% of the course total. So if we unlock these, we can see that it will automatically recalculate once we've made a change of this nature. So right now, even though our test is worth 30 points, we want it to be more important to the actual class itself at 40% in the actual gradebook. Now, on the flip side, if we want our assignments to be worth more, we can come in here and put 40%, and it's going to change all of these others in an equal parts to 100. Again, if I want to lock this where it doesn't change it, I can simply click that and it will gray this out. And now I can come in here and say, I want my discussions to be worth 15%, and we can see that we have journals recalculate and tests recalculate. If I want to lock this, I can simply lock it there. So we are calculating the percentage, or again, the level of importance in the overall categories. Now, we can determine how we want this to be displayed to the student. Do we want them to show a percentage or a letter? Again, this is determined by our grade schema in the previous setting. But the newest update allows us to have points-based gradebook. We can see that the main setting is over here on the top left. And if we select this points, we can now see that the categories automatically calculate how many points are in that actual category itself. So we have 125 points in the assignment category. We can open this up by clicking this arrow, and we can see what items are actually in this category that are making up this 125 points here. If we want to look at our discussions, we can simply go down and open this up. We can see we have 2 discussions at 100 points. And we can see our journal. We have 1 journal that's worth 100 points. We can see that our test is at 0 because it doesn't have anything in the graded item category for that particular test. So I want to make sure that that test is being calculated within this category. So very quickly, I can just hit save and confirm. I can go out to my actual graded item, find it here in my example test, and I can make sure that this category, we can see that it's actually a quiz. We can change this category by clicking on that and test. We can hit save. Now go back to our gradebook. Click the gear icon, manage overall grade settings, and we can see that that test now has 30 points associated with that category. So we can see we want to make sure that our categories are aligned at the graded item setup over in those settings, and they are reflected here in the category itself. Now, if I want to exclude a particular assignment from the assignment category, say that this one is worth more points than the others, I want this video assignment to be, again, more important to the actual overall grade, I can simply unlink or click this link icon, and it is now in its own category out here. Again, the importance is determined by points now because we have that set over on the top left, but we can still see that it is calculating at 455 points total. The last setting that we have here on this page is the display option. We have the ability to tell our students, are they earning a letter based on that grading schema that we have set up in the gradebook setup itself? Are we earning a percentage? The percentage is out of the 100% down here. Or are we displaying the points? And simply it's allowing them to see, do they have the 455 points of the 455 points? I want to show you what the students actually see in the student preview mode based on the setting of the points over here in the display and the points weighted here in the categories. I'm going to hit save. And I can now go out to my course and find student preview at the top right, click student preview and start student preview. When a student is looking at their gradebook, they can now see that there is a possible 455 points for the class. And since the student preview has not completed anything, they have no points in that other column there. So I want to go and grade something for this student preview. I can go out and find an example assignment. Here's a discussion. I can go to the student preview and I can give them, say they had 80 out of the 100, and I can post that and post. I can simply go back to the gradebook and find maybe that test. And I can find that they have earned 26 points out of the 30 and it's posted. And let's do one more, this video assignment. They're going to earn 50 out of 50. and we can hit post. So now the student has graded items. If we go back to the student preview and look at their grade, we can see that they have earned a potential 156 points out of the 180. Now you're thinking, well, wait a second. We just saw that it was worth 455 points. Why is it the 180? We had the setting in our gradebook, and I can go back to that gradebook setting here. We have this setting selected as based calculations on points earned out of the total graded points. So the student hasn't achieved the 455 points here. They have only accessed 180. So if we want a running total, we can have that selected. But if we want to show them what are they earning out of the 450, we can simply deselect this and hit save. I'll now go back to my student preview, and we can see that they are earning the 156 points out of the 450. If I want to display this as a percentage, I can go back to that gradebook as an instructor. I can click on the percentage, hit save, and I can go back to the student preview mode and see that the student now sees a percentage of that 100%. The student sees here that they have the 34.28% out of 100% of the actual grade itself. Now I want to take a look at that gradebook best practices for your course itself. We want to keep in mind that this has everything to do with the student experience in your course. So the first thing we want to do is set the points earned in the actual item settings itself. If you want that discussion post to be worth 100 points, go to the discussion and set it for 100 points. We're not going to do that in the gradebook setup. We're going to do that in the item. The next thing is the grade has to be based on the level of involvement. If we want something in our course to be worth 5 points, chances are we want that to be something relatively easy to complete on the student side. If it is an hour-long assignment that is timed and there's only one attempt, then we're probably going to want to give them more points than 15 points. Next, we want to make sure that the weighted categories have a direct relationship with the level of importance. So in the past, we've set up assignments and we want assignments to be worth more points because it's more important to the final grade. But if we have it set up in this manner, then it's not actually going to be more important to the final grade if we just give them points and we're displaying it as points. So our weighted categories have everything to do with the level of importance to the final grade. And lastly, we come to how are the students actually seeing their final grade? Now, all of us at Rogers State, we've used point-based in the past, and that's great. And in this screenshot here, we can see that I have it set up for points, but we want to display the grade to the student in either a letter or a percentage, not points. And that's specifically because if we display it in points, the student can see that they have earned 323 points out of the 455, but that takes an extra step for the student to go and find how that's being calculated on the schema. What does that actually mean as far as the grade point average, as far as what's going to be turned in at the end of the semester? Where if we say we want it points calculated in the items itself, but we want to display it as a percentage, now the student can see, hey, I have an 88% and I want to increase it, the 2% to make it an A. So I want to go ahead and work on something else. Or if they're sitting in a lower grade and they might fail the course, they can see what level or what points are going to be more important to that overall grade for that 100%, not necessarily the points based. So the best recommendation that I would say as an instructional designer is make sure that the students can calculate it very easily by going to that gradebook tab and seeing what do they have out of 100% of the course in order to earn the points and order to earn that good grade in the course itself. So in closing, we want to make sure that our course is set up for the semester. We go into the gradebook settings. We look at the category weight or the overall grade setup. We want to make sure that we are using either the points method or the weighted method, making sure those categories are calculating appropriately. And lastly, make sure that the student can see the grade as a percent or a letter grade based on that schema, not the points. It's going to make more sense when our students are completing their assignments, maybe through the mobile app or on their device. They can simply go to their gradebook and see, hey, I'm sitting good because it is displayed in an appropriate manner versus having to recalculate what those points actually mean to the final grade. I hope this video was helpful. If you need any additional help with your Blackboard course, feel free to reach out or comment with your questions below. For the best tips and tricks, be sure to subscribe to my channel and check out my other YouTube videos. The best help that I can give to you is go to help.blackboard.com and check out all of their walkthroughs and specific settings for your course, either in Blackboard Ultra or Blackboard Original. Thanks for watching.